They kids that sit with a lot of people will testify. They said did he got taped a lot of tape the fair took from over there with the rated DD House.
Extremely credible and very consistent. And you can see they're all in different parts of the country, so they didn't really each other really running the same circles. And there was certain levels to how the stories became so consistent.
No, I said when the fair rated DD House, they said they got a lot of tapes and all the stuff on that. Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of famous people.
Isn't just the legal solid capacity that's going on. I mean, that's not a normal person. That's not somebody with respect. It's shocking for me that something like that happened in this way. By the way, why did you file New York State court? A lot of the police that we've seen so far have been filed in federal court. I will say that a lot of these like victims were not from New York, so the different state is that different states and the obviously $75,000. That's how something matters. There's people that's greater than others in filing federal court. I believe at least one of your clients is from Florida. So was there a strategic advantage to go to the state route as opposed to federal court? I'm just seeking proper state court was the case. It's also a court in New York at the time. Solves all the defendants were New York residents. Federal court was designed to protect out-of-state residents from getting disadvantaged for being defended in a foreign country. So that's one reason. It's a personal preference. I prefer state court. I prefer the system of state court to federal court. It's just a personal preference. Well, two questions I had about the accounts in regards to that. Some of them are very relevant. What are the things that you are filing during the citizen before the cases is the general violence affected that? Also, and also
breathe in, receive by enlightenment in through your nose, out. No problems during us.
Yeah. As soon as I complete this level, Royal Kingdom.
This is for relaxation.
So it's Royal Kingdom. And you have sometimes easy, sometimes hard, but always satisfying. It takes my mind to a whole new level. Plus, there are no ads, and let's do pop-ups to be flood of the moment. I've never been so
Let's skip the ads.
zero.
Go back to the try it.
Oh, I think when we generate the violence, I think the case under the New York State statute of limitations. So limited that. We also read the city causes of action, which is a general motivated violence. Basically, it's the same claim as the state claim, but it's just unique to the city of New York. And just as a compelling fact, it's what we do, it's what always plead it. As far as holding the companies in one of my clients work for his company. I think there's the role of the distinction between Sean Combs and its various entities is very different because it's not the typical corporation where there's a real hierarchy, a corporate type of selling. It's more his companies under him on all the shops, and a lot of these events were mixed into the U.S. His company. Yes, he was.
Oh. What happened?
This has a lot of mistakes. You go after companies to successful in space. I think Sean Combs is different than several. He wants to he didn't have the suspect Sean Combs probably has done a lot of things through the years to protect his money from consequences.
One of the things I was thinking about is ownership defense. Imagine this consistent crime you talk about, like sexual assault. In order to show that these well, these
It's
how can they possibly know what happened? How can you trust their what would be the
so that did the lady get back to you yet? Or not yet, lady?
That most people who come out of being repeat and are being raped.
Oh,
Okay, so let me ask you this. You mentioned, I know you said that over 60 people reached out to you to represent because those stories were very consistent, backed up, story. My question to you is, do you know if these three individuals that you represented today reach out to any other lawyers? Is this the first time they want to take legal action in their field?
It was the first time I wanted to take legal action.
Yeah. And I have to imagine this is not
Thirsty.
even know if perfect young men are not even but as you know, in a lot of the other home states, who's been fighting, Jay-Z's doing the same thing now, fighting to have these breaking down their limits exposed. And they want to see it honestly. Trump has actually been successful with some of those cases. He's made arguments that, look, you see they made a voluntary decision to sue, have a right to challenge them, have a right to know who they are. What would be the response back if there was that statement in this case?
Well, he knows we really know who they are because they proceed anonymously. It's nonsense, the argument they're raising that it's some mystery person they don't know. But the argument primarily today, these guys are the threat. Threats with credible threats. It's different than in a lot of cases where you have the usual exposure to being a victim of a sexual violence. Here you have like a triple whammy. You have exposure to as a victim of sexual violence. You have a man who's been raped, and then you have a man who's a victim of sexual violence who's received credible threats of harm. Those are the reasons to keep them out of the paper and out of the public eye.
If they had to reveal the report, what would the
Well, I mean, the whole reason why they're against public is to intimidate them so that they won't proceed. And I think that's the tactic that's been followed in this case enough. I can tell you in the cases that we may have heard about, Dr. Purdue, those cases, as a matter of course, the defendants in those cases have a stipulation where they proceed anonymously because they're trying to do the right thing. In this case, when they try to expose people, it's to intimidate them, it's to scare them. It's like, hey, wait a second, everyone wants to know I got raped by Sean Combs, I got threatened by Sean Combs, it makes it really silence. And you see it in their tactics. I mean, I saw yesterday when this became public, there was some statement about unethical lawyers and all this stuff.
And I'll be with you. I agree actually. So this is a statement put out by Voice Journalists. It says these complaints are full of lies. We approve the false sanctions against every unethical lawyer who filed fictional claims against him. It's very accurate.
Well, my reaction to that is, what are they going to do? So they're trying to silence the victims, and they're trying to silence the lawyers. For me, I've been a lawyer for 30 years in the city of New York. I've had a case against Harvey Weinstein. I've had a case against Dr. Hayden. We have 30 cases against Dr. Purdue. My reputation is unimpeachable. I've had 60 people call me up with cases. I took 3 cases because I take my reputation very seriously. And I don't go randomly choosing other reasons from out. But one thing I can tell you is I believe these gentlemen, what they're telling you is true. I didn't have that same confidence in the 57 cases that I've been trying to represent because my reputation matters.
That's very fair. I completely understand. I mean, look, there's another lawyer who's arguing several things after he said that it's about 3,000 calls to selected. Look, I totally get that. Just to go back to that, anecdotally, this case, now I think we're fighting. Again, with your clients, maybe it's too early, but I'm not saying that continue to know, but continue to proceed with this case if their identities have to be revealed.
We didn't have that conversation. So, one of the reasons I prefer state court is I think the state court is a little more advanced as far as the accountability of victims of sexual abuse. I think the federal courts are not as advanced as we are in New York State. So, no, I haven't had that conversation.
This might be a little sensitive. I really might not be able to answer, but I have to ask it less. And same for which way whether the clients have been working with feds on a criminal case.
I can tell you. I can tell you.
Well, the reason I ask is when I read these complaints, they're very consistent with the allegations were forwarded by federal prosecutors. And that's why I was curious.
No, I can tell you that with very mad involved.
So where does the case go from now? So you file these complaints. What happens next?
I suspect what will happen is what happens in all these cases. He's currently under indictment. He's currently he can't be forced to testify in the civil process. He's required to testify. I suspect there'll be an answer. There'll be a motion for a stay until the outcome of this criminal case, and everything will sit in the holding pattern, which is what happened with the Darren Purdue case. I suspect he'll be convicted. Then the case will proceed. But that's really what I would see in the next 6 months. But I think it's going to be a whole hurry up and wait while the criminal case works its way through the system.
Thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. I wanted to speak to you about this. I was subscribed to tap and I'm sure your phone is ringing constantly after 5 years.
Yeah, more than you know.
Yeah, I wonder why. Let me see.
All right, next thing, take care. Have a good holiday.
All right, everybody, that's all we have for you right here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, please subscribe to the podcast, Spotify, YouTube, everything podcast. I'm Jesse Weber.
I mean, somebody shut the front door and don't call my mama. Huh? Talk about long overdue. Come on, we got a legend in the building. We got a legend in the building. But you all want to hood say, "Boy, Philadelphia right now is going crazy." I know. Hey, give us some time to talk. Everybody calm down.
They smash your throat.
This is big. This is big. Welcome.
We start right here. We might we start. That's when we start.
Welcome to the.
What the guys
That's right. I said the.
skip betting him? No, I think I said guys skip betting here. The commercial, too much commercial.
From some pretty high profile. Let's see what some celebrities.
They're having too much commercial.
Sean Carter's legal development. Welcome to Sidebar. Was it by law and crime?
Yeah, not yet. Jay-Z name. So let me see what's up with Jay-Z.
You know that you're reacting to and breaking down absolutely disturbing bombshell claims against Jay-Z, Sean Carter, in that federal sexual assault lawsuit. Unnamed Jane Doe is accusing the rapper and business mogul of raping her at a VMA's after party.
There's a lady that accused Jay-Z for raping her at Diddy party.
A party thrown by none other than Sean
Mm-hmm.
Combs, who she says also sexually assaulted.
She said Diddy and Jay-Z raped her. They drunk her and raped her.
When it was first filed in October by the label as Celebrity A. Right now it's identified by the Sean Carter case.
Mm-hmm.
But in the complaint it states
They didn't even see the complaint now. Crazy.
causing her to fall. When it got up and stumbled, at which point Combs grabbed her again and threw her on the bed. At that point, Carter began to move it and exposed she grew more and more disoriented. And he says that Jay-Z that is related to this teenager, who proceeded to rape her as well. And by the way, this allegedly was an bedroom while the unnamed female
These guys, I never be going around raping.
Miss Jane Doe has sued Berkman for this alleged assault.
Including you're supposed to have wife and then they're going around raping.
Look back to sue for claims that would otherwise be parole by a statute of limitations issue. It just doesn't
They don't be raping women. That is crazy.
by someone young and severely ideal, that she was an underage girl. This all comes as Sean Combs is sitting in the Metropolitan Center on federal sex crimes charges of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The operator who's advised of using illegal methods to coerce people to engage in prolonged sex performances with male sex performers.
It's crazy.
Frequently. And by the way, I have been so nonstop with so much breaking news in this meeting case that my life has been a little bit hectic. But I actually have this app that makes the day to day. We'll do it. That's important. We'll do it. It's called Upside. When I buy gas, groceries, food, or the other center, I potentially get cash back using the free Upside app. Real cash back. When that appears in your Upside app, you transfer right into your bank account. Look here, I used Upside to find a gas station. I claimed it off. Here's my credit card. My father's got from the app. I got cash back. It's so simple to use. You can use it all the places, restaurants, convenience stores. So find out how to consider it. Click the link in the description to download Upside or scan the QR code on screen. And make sure to use that promo code
Bunch of rapists.
25 cents back on every gallon. Yeah. It wasn't just
Yeah, that's crazy. How you can do that kind of stuff?
no.
Drug somebody and rape them. It's crazy.
Have been reacting to it as well. And I think a good place to start would be with Rapid. Why? Why? Because he has already been quite vocal with Sean Combs.
That's a sick stuff right there. But if you're sick in the head to do such a thing, it's not right at all.
50 Cent posted on Instagram. Now, it's not even do it, it's being done. They don't come like that unless they got a case. And he has posted several videos talking about this. He also shared a video from someone on social media that called Combs too freaky for society. And when Combs was officially arrested,
Imagine, look, kids very embarrassed. I hope it's not true because it kind of thing embarrass their kids.
I don't have
Usually your father is a rapist. It's not a good thing. The kids will feel embarrassed walking the street.
In fact, it's also the 50 Cent is reportedly working on a Netflix documentary about his legal trouble. But when it comes to Jay-Z, what did he say? He said a few things. He did a few things. So first, I can tell you that there doesn't appear to be
If you're too embarrassed, you'll be out in public.
at least for years.
You ain't stuck by your father.
The song "How to Ride," which is
Very embarrassing.
Robert and Jay-Z. And Jay-Z put out a song called "It's Hot," something like it's hot, in which he rapped, "I'm about $1. What the F is 50 Cent?" Now, although they have performed together in the past, maybe patch things up and look like things are okay. Doesn't really look like they're best friends because I think in 2011, Diddy told MTV News, "We don't have those kinds of relationships. These people are people I associate with. We're in the same business. We're not necessarily friends. We don't call each other for no reason." And I should tell you, if you had any doubt about their friendship, well, what did Cent do just in the wake of his case lawsuit? Well, he posted on Instagram a meme of him in a car with the caption, "Okay, I don't know what's going on.
I'm eating lunch."
Still have the Super Bowl worried emoji. I'm just asking for a friend." That, of course,
You heard me?
is a reference to the fact that the last few years, Jay-Z has gotten Rock Nation.
I said I am eating lunch.
But he really wasn't done there because you know how right
I'm eating collard greens.
In less than 24 hours.
Macaroni salad.
The 12-year-old daughter, Blue Ivy, Beyonce's mom, Tina Knowles, attended the LA premiere of Mufasa, the Lion King. This is what we talked about in the previous sidebar. But now, in the leaked post on Instagram, they said, so Jay said they said I raped you. Everybody gets dressed. You're going to see Mufasa. Seemingly poking fun at him regarding the movie premiere the way he was wearing allegations. Now, to be clear, Beyonce knew I could play star in that movie. Here, showed up. Anyway, I will tell you, I interviewed body experts Susan Constantine about how Jay-Z appeared at that premiere, whether it told us anything based on his body language. Good look.
When I look at Jay-Z, you can see his lips purse. That is a form of agitation. So when you look at that, when people start to tighten their lips, it tells you a little bit about their cognitions. Maybe that he's not really enjoying this as much as he's portraying when he was walking on. And what I'm looking for is a cluster. I see a horizontal stressor right across his forehead, and then he has his hand in his pocket. So we've got three things, which is a cluster. You would think that Jay-Z would have incorporated Beyonce into the mix by putting his arm around Beyonce's waist. We didn't see that yet. So that's what I'm saying. There's almost like a separation on two different frames. Beyonce, of course, alliances with her daughter. You can see her leaning her head towards her daughter. Her daughter is out up front in a princess type of positioning. So overall, when I'm looking at this, the mannequin type of stance that Tina has, the agitation that Jay-Z is concealing. So what I mean by that, it's not an outward or expression, it's actually micro-expression of showing you what some of cognition might be.
But go back to the second for a second. You know what else? We did this thing on there. He apparently posted AI-generated video of Jay-Z and Sean Combs in tuxedos getting arrested by police with the caption, "I want to post this, but I'm afraid I'm going to get shot. LOL." Now, one other thing I have to mention about this, so he sat down for an interview with Personality People and happened this week, and he addressed a lot of it. He said, "I haven't had issues with Pop where I don't like it. I don't like things that he would do that make me uncomfortable." In terms of Jay-Z, he said, "I just hope things are all right when you turn it into the crib." Because in the statement they mentioned with his daughter being old enough to shoot about their teeth, so it's the same age as these kids were saying he did something to him. And he also said the damage is already done by the allegation itself. And even the NFL, regarding the Super Bowl show, will fall back by this lawsuit, and they won't necessarily be associated with that in the NFL. They won't necessarily stick with Jay-Z. Now, in terms of what he said about Jay-Z's home life, you see,
We have it all, so you can do it all. One partner, all in. Nutrient Ag Solutions. Not everyone is a morning person, but a little morning light can help jumpstart the day. Serena Smart Shades make that easy. With a simple voice command, you can fill your home with sunlight. Feel what it's like to effortlessly welcome the day. Transform rooms and spaces with the perfect amount of sunshine anytime. Serena Smart Shades. Create your comfort zone.
Here's the referencing Jay-Z's statement that was put out after filing his complaint. In the statement, he used Jane Doe's attorney, Tony Buzbee, of trying to blackmail him to settle the case before filing what he claims are false allegations. And he said the following: "I often heartbreak this with my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down. One of them is at the age where her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence. Children should not have to endure such at their young age. It is unfair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice which destroy families and human spirit." So that was basically what he said, I have to say so far. But going back to Tina Knowles, I want to talk about her for a second. Talk about her, I don't want to say reaction to Jay-Z's lawsuit, because as you'll see, she says this really wasn't her, but something very curious happened. There were reports that Tina Knowles liked ABC7 Chicago's Instagram post about the lawsuit with the caption reading, Sean Jay-Z Carter and Sean Diddy Combs are accused of raping a then 13-year-old girl at an after party following the 2003 Music Awards, according to an entry of the lawsuit on Sunday. So, did she really like that? Well, she says no. In the Instagram post, she denied liking the post, claiming her account was hacked, writing, as you all know, I do not play about with family. So if you see something uncharacteristic of me, just know that it is not me. Please stop playing with me. No weapon formed against my family shall prosper. Of course, we prosper. So maybe that reaction was a reaction. But I will tell you who did react. Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. So let me set the stage for this. So we go to the December 10th broadcast of Inside the NBA on TNT. And there is discussion among the groups of Smith and Johnson, Shaq, and Barkley about who could face off against Thompson and Stephen A. Smith, the basketball court. So at one point, Charles Barkley said to Smith, you said the man isn't on your level. Stephen A. played college basketball. Now Smith defends himself, says that he's a champ, and then he says to Shaq, listen, man, do you think Jay-Z or, and he starts to trail off, before he can finish his thought, Barkley jumps in and goes, probably not a good time right now. All the panelists start laughing. The crew in the background starts laughing. Smith jokes and says, you're silly, man, while shaking his head. And then Shaq gets up, walks off stage, and hides behind a pillar, a joking fashion, as Attorney Johnson said, go and see if you can fix the wall, will you, Shaq? And he ends up coming back to set without really further discussion with Jay-Z. Just an interesting response, considering Jay-Z and Shaq have been photographed together for years. But I guess what I'll say is just a lighter moment. What is a very, very serious and deeply disturbing set of allegations. Now, while that wasn't really specific when they made that reaction, I will say who did get into specifics. Charlie. So he hosts the Breakfast Club, and he says the following. Good for Hope. I'm glad Jay-Z responded just like that because this has been going on for too long. He's a grip. These accusers go to these lawyers with all these salacious claims. The lawyer will put more sauce on these salacious claims. They reach out to your team and say, if you don't settle with us, we're going to go public with these claims. They'll tell you they're going to hold a press conference. We're going to do interviews. A lot of people settle because they don't want the bad press. Most people settle. You'd be surprised how many people settle. The court of public opinion makes everybody guilty, so it makes a lot of people settle. And Hope said, kiss my A, I'm not settling, and I don't blame you. And then he went on to say, at some point, this litigious blackmail and extortion has to stop. He also added, what you hear is this, right? You hear the initial accusation, but you don't ever see when the case gets dropped. You don't see when the case actually gets dismissed. That is a really interesting reaction. I mean, seemingly, he's not believing Jake Doe's claims, or Tony Busby, at least as of now. And seemingly, he was praising Jay-Z and his lawyers' aggressive strategy. We talked about this before. Jay-Z knew this lawsuit was going to be filed. He had that response prepared. He and his attorney have been actively fighting since this case got filed to get the case dismissed. And they've been arguing that Jane Doe should have to reveal herself. And not do so is procedurally improper. And even saying the case should be thrown out. They've gone offensive, calling Busby's actions extortion and blackmail, criticizing him for sending him the ban letter prior to him being named in the lawsuit. And apparently, Jay-Z filed his own lawsuit against Tony Busby, accusing him of extortion and potential infliction of emotional distress. Now, some would say that Busby didn't do anything wrong. The ban letter is very standard practice. Sending the ban letter to try to settle the case and go to mediation, that's standard practice. But if Jay-Z is saying these claims against him are false, and this was just an attempt to settle so he wouldn't be exposed, this isn't right, he says. He's fighting. I will say it would be interesting to see if more lawsuits come out against Jay-Z. Because I will say, in his lawsuit against Tony Busby, he seems to indicate that Busby has accused him of misconduct, not just with respect to his Jane Doe, but at least one other person. And if he gets hit with more lawsuits, lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, more allegations, things could change. Public perception could change. And you have to think about what happened with Sean Combs, right? He settles with this Ventura for sexual assault lawsuit. back in November of 2023, but the day after she filed it, after we've all seen the allegations of rape, domestic violence, sex trafficking, then he said, so what happened? The floodgates opened. Combs is hit with lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. He's just hit with 3 more lawsuits being brought by men. And sure, they helped him that the 2016 video of him reportedly beating Sandy Ventura in a hotel hall was released by CNN because it gave more validity to the claims against him. And look, there are those who are praising Jay-Z's strategy because this is their first accusation. He's never been accused of this in the past as far as I understand. And if he can convince the court that Jane Doe has to reveal her identity, then that may cause her to abandon this lawsuit because she may not want to proceed in a very public lawsuit with so much sensitive details that for the whole world to know who she is. That could be a major win for Jay-Z. But the other way of looking at it is, besides the fact that other lawsuits come out that could change the scenario, BuzzFeed has said that Jay-Z and his lawyers are not doing the right thing. Their tactics of filing a lawsuit against him, accusing him of pressuring a different woman to alter her own sexual assault story when she reported her claims to BuzzFeed. There was that allegation too, that he felt pressured by his friend to change her story. He's saying, but through all this, he's saying what Jay-Z and his lawyers are doing is potentially illegal, even defamatory. So you have two sides. I will say, based on the trajectory of other Sean Combs cases, there is a chance Jane Doe, here, the person suing Jay-Z, will have to reveal her identity in civil lawsuit. We talked about this before. There's an argument that it's worked in Sean Combs cases. Look at the Anna Cain situation, where Jay-Z will have a right to know who he's accusing to challenge her. She brought this lawsuit after all. This is different from a criminal case where Jane and John Doe are being called as prosecution witnesses. It's not their case. They didn't necessarily choose to bring the prosecution's case, but they're called as witnesses. They may have more grounds to say, I don't want to be identified. This is your case. Whereas here, do they have a right to remain anonymous when they are voluntarily filing a lawsuit against a very high-profile individual like a Sean Combs or Jay-Z? So anyway, bottom line, something to think about in context with Charlotte's comments. But let's talk about the meeting with Andrew Schultz. He spoke about Jay-Z's situation on his Flagrant podcast, and he was asked, do you think the Jay-Z thing just gets thrown out? To which he responded, yeah.
It's like every dog is a struggle between good and fun.
Good and fun.
Let your dog indulge both sides with good and fun.
Yeah, Letty.
Let dogs dog.
Huh?
Vacation starts with the X. Start yours at Virginia.org.
He's innocent. Now, when he said I couldn't tell if he was joking around, if he was serious, but he did say that Jane Doe's account was, quote, wonky, and this happened how many years ago? And then he also said, I don't know, bro. But he did also say, I think that allegations can automatically incriminate people. So kind of similar to Charlotte, but you get a sense of where they both kind of stand in the early stages of this case. And by the way, if evidence should come out in this case that further supports Jane Doe's claims, I'm not necessarily saying a video, like the 2016 video, but something should come out that supports her claims. Public opinion, that may change too. Celebrity reaction, that may change too. But while their statements are kind of clear, I will say someone else responded to the Jay-Z lawsuit. And this was not only not entirely clear, I wasn't sure exactly what to make of it. I'm talking about rapper Meek. Now, we'll get into what he said, but his name has been circulating a lot, mostly online, due to his reported connection to Sean Combs. His name has come up a lot last year. There was speculation that he was mentioned in one of the sexual assault lawsuits filed against Combs. This was the one filed by Combs' former producer, Rodney Jones, who sued Sean Combs for sexual assault and sex trafficking. And in that lawsuit, Jones alleges that Combs admitted that he engaged in sexual intercourse with a, quote, unidentified Philadelphia rapper who dated not. It was speculated
Where you want me to say?
at the time people are posted on this. One love to the gay people, but then talk about the people.
Because I didn't hear you. I'm talking to you.
But now, in the wake of Jay-Z,
No, I didn't. I was talking. I was talking to you at the same time. You hear the TV. I was watching the Diddy trial.
now, after dreams, easy to address.
Lady, I'm talking to you. The TV watching the Diddy
The
trial.
goal is to start false narratives to create a matrix. If you can control the storyline, you can control the matrix. American media is totally unbelievable. I see Jay-Z like a 13-year-old girl 300 times scrolling. It's all a program. So while I wasn't entirely
But the TV, everyone will say, I can't say nothing on that. Listen, what I say.
Brian the Consul, and here was his take on what he was doing. Well, I think where he was going with this is probably something he said for a long time. It's also one time, which is anybody anywhere can say anything. And because of the way social media is today, it takes a life themselves and people who never will jump to conclusions about it because they can't open their thumbs up and not read something that's scandalous about it. And it takes a life of its own, and they can destroy you with a word. There was a time when accusations had some scrutiny for them. You had to be careful before you point and say to somebody. Not anymore. Shoot first, ask questions later. And so I think that's his giant complaint, which is, where do I go to get my reputation back there? Who do I go
got my attention.
to defend this? What do I say? I didn't do it? That's not going to be enough because the door's already been opened by the scandalous accusation. So I think that's where he's coming from. I think there's a lot of people who feel that way. If that really is what was meant by that, it's similar to what we've been talking about so far with the reactions. But look, these are some celebrity reactions to the Jay-Z case so far. We will see what shakes up. What is interesting is that it is also in association with Sean Combs right now, who is very
Man.
that's
Thank
a
God for
problem.
hello.
And in
Thank God for another day. Hello?
to separate his case, for example, in their argument that Jane Doe needs to reveal herself, Jay-Z's lawyers argue that she may claim that Sean Combs made threats of violence in the past to people, that might be an expression to reveal herself, but Jay-Z hasn't, and especially not to her, he doesn't know who she is.
Do you see? I'm
People
coming back.
argue that her safety is at risk if she reveals herself because of Jay-Z.
Coming back.
This picture of Jay-Z representing the first real high-profile celebrity A-lister who is being accused alongside Sean Combs. Again, this is a civil case, not criminal. Again, linked up to sexual assault allegations. According to BuzzFeed, there are other big names too that may or may not have already settled with him, or who may or may not be named in future lawsuits. And by the way, real quick, talking to Sean Combs. Let me just end on this. As you know, we have been following all aspects of this criminal case, and I have one little update for you. Remember there was this whole back and forth about how using laptops for evidence in the case while he was locked up at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. Well, I have an update for you from Judge Green Sutherland, who's overseeing this case. So he wrote in a recent order, by Monday, December 16, 2024 at 12 p.m., the parties should meet and confer and submit to the court a joint letter listing the topics that we wish to discuss at the conference scheduled for December 18, 2024 at 2 p.m. Now, by the way, that is a conference that we're going to cover live for you on Longfront's YouTube channel, so you're going to check that out. Live analysis, real-time updates, reporters, Miller in that quarter. And Submarine also orders that having reviewed the party submissions, the court orders as follows. 1. The NBC is ordered not to turn over defendants' attorney dissolution forms to the government. So that was an issue. Combs' lawyers argued that the facility should send over forms to the prosecution, letting them know when Combs was meeting with his lawyer. The defense argued that's privilege and hearing. Number 2, Submarine also ordered that the NBC must give the defendant access to the discovery laptop 7 days per week from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. This can be done in his unit's visiting room or in his unit's BTC room, video teleconference room. Number 3, the purpose of the discovery laptop is to discover.
Check the laundry and see if it does.
Is the court's laptop has been preloaded with discovery materials It does not allow any functionality beyond what's in those materials. Then it wishes for broader access to the Discovery laptop. His counsel should discuss the issue with the government, which should consider any reasonable proposals in good faith and work with Bureaucracy Council and NBC staff to effectuate them. And that was about him wanting to take legal use on the laptop. So it looks like that won't be allowed for now, but maybe there's an opening for the defense to have the government figure it out. Now, some remaining also writes that there are further disputes the court will consider. The court understands the filter team's position and does not require any further action from the filter team on the privilege issue. So that was with respect to the defense's contention that this filter team, these independent prosecutors in the Southern District of New York, that they improperly sent over privileged materials to the prosecution after handling Sean Combs' case, namely these photographs of writings of Sean Combs Jr. And the filter team, the prosecutors of the Combs, should send unredacted versions of these materials to the filter team so they can really see if it's a privilege, what those materials are. The defense objected to that. They asked for the court, the other side, to step in and review those materials. So let's see what that all shakes out. But that's all we have for you right now. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on the podcast, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get the podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber.
Every day I rise before the sun to make sure our food is perfect. At Golden Cross, we cook everything from scratch because that's what it takes to live up to the name Golden Cross Caribbean Restaurant. Real Jamaican food, cooked from scratch.
And Cash App 5 this pro. It's your around this time though.
Give me 17 cents on Bitcoin.
As of today, law enforcement has interviewed dozens of women who reported being forcibly raped or sexually assaulted by at least one of the Alexander brothers.
Investigators in both New York and Miami say 3 brothers in real estate and private security family businesses are serial sexual predators who allege that their heinous behavior dates all the way back to high school. But now they are facing very serious charges as federal prosecutors pledge to take down men who prey on vulnerable people, no matter how rich and famous they might be. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. Hey, so before we jump into the story, I have really exciting news for you. Video version of Sidebar is now available on Spotify. So we're so thankful that your guys supported Sidebar and us getting the show on Spotify video. It is truly how loyal this audience is. So thank you so much. And yes, you can have
Original surveillance footage. The defense have still tried to look at how many times the video showed.
Hey guys, it's your little bestie Attorney Simone, and this is another episode of Girl Is Not Legal. We are on day 15. It is day 15 and October 9th.
What's going on, y'all? Day 14 of the Sean P. Diddy Combs trial. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. We're here for another look.
What's going on, y'all? Day 14 of the Sean P. Diddy Combs trial. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's go.
You're going to win because you support common sense and you support. If I don't stay at home, this is the atmosphere I'm in. Like, I have no choice.
Well, certainly there's a lot of information that needs to be substantiated, investigated, and those kinds of things. But when we look at people who become offenders, we oftentimes see early exposure to whether that's or actual behavior, and we oftentimes see that within the family.
People who could be victims, witnesses, or even unwilling participants. If their names come out, this scandal could explode on a level nobody is prepared for. And then there's the financial disease.
To collect compromising material. Some say he was always prepared to use what he knew to his advantage, holding on to the most incriminating details for the right moment. But Trump backs Jack. Will Trump endorse Jack?
Why do people from all over the world come to the University of Washington? They come to find people who are inspired, move, change them. They come to solve big problems and prepare for careers where they can make a difference. They come to cheer on their Huskies in the greatest song in college football. Do you want to change the world? This is where you start. The passion, the possibility of being boundless.
World about Diddy's current legal trials and the possible fallout from his actions. Many people are wondering if these parties will be the key to unraveling some of the industry's biggest secrets. Now that we've heard all of them, the tension is real. The stakes are high. And with Smith hinting at secrets ready to spill, it's no surprise that Jay-Z's silence has many people wondering what role he might play in this. So, what do you think? Will Jay-Z eventually be forced to speak out, or is he planning to ride out the storm in silence? With Diddy's world unraveling, the question is, who else will get pulled into this mess? Comment your thoughts down below. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check out these other videos we've selected just for you. Catch you in the next one.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next.
Jay-Z is set to Diddy up.
Legal drama surrounding Diddy is reaching explosive levels, but now it seems the ripple effects could extend far beyond it. Stephen A. Smith, known for his no-nonsense takes.
Combs currently sitting in jail awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges.
Just dropped a bombshell warning, this time aimed squarely at Jay-Z. After Diddy's arrest and mounting allegations, Smith isn't holding back.
Now, the Sean Diddy Combs investigation, new surveillance video shows Combs being taken into custody in a Manhattan hotel last week.
Hinting that Jay-Z might need to distance himself back and risk being dragged into the chaos. With Diddy facing intense scrutiny, some insiders are claiming that powerful names across the industry could soon come under the microscope. And while no direct allegations have been made against Jay-Z, Stephen A.'s comments are raising eyebrows and sparking serious speculation. So what exactly did Stephen say? Why is he warning Jay-Z to run? And what does this mean for the hip-hop world as a whole? Let's break it down. Stephen A. Smith on Diddy's downfall. Stephen A. Smith has entered the chat.
So we all knew this was coming. But when you hear racketeering conspiracy, when you hear sex trafficking by force, when you hear that you keep them obedient and compliant, when you hear about the transportation to engage in prostitution, male sex workers, and all of this other stuff.
You know, he had something to say about the swirling allegations surrounding Sean Diddy Combs. If there's one thing Stephen A. doesn't do, it's mince words. Sitting in his usual spot, dropping those trademark hot takes, Smith dove into the controversy, calling the situation deeply troubling, and making it clear that this isn't something to brush off.
I got news for you. It's got very, very scary. If it was just him, it would be sad. It would be very unfortunate. But I use the word scary because I get the impression that his life is only like this. That they ain't after him just to get him.
He began by addressing the sheer weight of the allegations, saying that, if proven true, it paints an ugly picture for one of the biggest names of the entertainment. And let's be real, Diddy isn't just some random celebrity. He's been a power player in the industry for decades. That's what makes these allegations so shocking. Smith didn't hold back on the importance of due process either. He reminded everyone that accusations, no matter how serious, don't automatically mean guilt. However, he wasn't dismissing anything either. The mounting claims and increasing number of lawsuits are hard to ignore, especially when they span years. You could tell Stephen A. was carefully balancing his words, giving Diddy his right to defend himself, while also acknowledging how troubling the situation is.
I can't imagine it. I could never see him do something like that. I don't believe it.
And Smith wasn't shy about what this meant for Diddy's legacy. It's not just about his career. This could completely tarnish his name. Fans are already asking tough questions. Public opinion seems to shift with every new headline. Smith said it straight. If Diddy doesn't address this head-on soon, whispers are going to grow louder. Silence will only fan the flames. Stephen A. also called attention to the broader issue here, the exaggerated use of power. It's a theme we've seen play out repeatedly in Hollywood and the music industry, and Smith didn't hesitate to point out the unsettling parallels. It's rare to see Stephen A. Smith not get animated, but his tone this time? Dead serious. The message was clear. This situation is far from over. Diddy's next moves could determine everything. Stephen even hinted that this might just be the beginning, suggesting more people can step forward with their own stories about Diddy. Will Diddy expose Jay-Z? Stephen A. isn't done stirring the pot when it comes to Diddy's ongoing controversies.
Sean P. Diddy. That's the subject.
Recently, Smith took things up a notch by dropping another bombshell, this time suggesting that Diddy might not go down alone.
I got news. They ain't coming to me. But his life is only like this. But they ain't after him just to get him. They come for him.
Jay-Z could be next to the spotlight.
What's all come to head now? Right now. Because he's an acceptable monster at this time. Like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch. So who's next? Y'all don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up.
The whispers are getting louder, and it seems like Diddy has some dirt on other heavyweights in the industry. And if the walls keep closing in, he might just start airing it all out. The speculation centers on Diddy and Jay-Z's long history. These two have been dominating hip-hop and business for decades, often appearing as friendly competitors and allies. But as we've seen time and time again, friendships in the entertainment world are only as strong as the secrets that protect them. Stephen A., while choosing his words carefully, still managed to drop enough hints to keep fans buzzing. He warned viewers that this situation could unravel into something much bigger, pulling in names no one expected.
One time I went to a party and they were supposed to be involved. I never saw nothing like that. But without mentioning any names, without incriminating anybody, you see the name? Do you see the people who have befriended him over the years, who have attended his parties, who are sitting close to him, who he's been in business with? Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
Now the internet is already running wild with theories. Some people believe that Diddy is planning to reveal hidden dealings, secrets, or skeletons from Jay-Z's past. After all, when you're at the top for so long,
there's bound to be some dirt buried somewhere. Others think this could be a strategic move by Diddy to shift the spotlight off himself and take the entire hip-hop elite down with him. If anyone has receipts, it's probably Diddy. The big question is, what could